Boom, let's go live. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weather Center Live. It is November 15, 2023. We've got quite a bit to cover tonight. We're going to kind of do an extended version of what we were talking about in my segment earlier today. We're going to go ahead and get started here in a few moments. We'll go ahead and start saying hello to those of us joining in the chat. Looks like we have about 9 viewers at the moment. We'll go ahead and give it a couple minutes and say hello just like we always do. But welcome in, Weather Center Live, Wednesday Tropics Talk, 8 p.m. Miss Leah, welcome in. Thomas, of course you can join if you're still there. I hope you're still there. I don't see exactly why you wouldn't want to join. No one's going to stop you from joining. I definitely wouldn't. Ethan's Life, welcome in. Nomad Cat 4, good to see you. Zen, hello there. Weather Trackers, welcome in. Zarko Rockera, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. We have quite a bit to talk about, quite a bit in the news. The weather community, the hubbub. We're going to go ahead and coin what we have here on our National Hurricane Center chart as the grand finale of the 2023 hurricane season. And you know, I mean, all things considered, this is kind of busy for a November. I will give it that much. But we're definitely going to go out quietly. This hurricane season is definitely going to go ahead and kind of ease its way out of here. We're not going to see anything cataclysmic or huge as of right now, and looks like we'll save that and keep it on reserve for next hurricane season. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if we start looking at our high-res stuff, you guys better not panic and you better not hype up because, first of all, it's not Friday, and second of all, we're not going to have any kind of real quality information on that invest area. I already see a bunch of people panicking because it's an invest area, and that doesn't mean anything. All an invest area means is that the Hurricane Center has designated a spot for them to fly into. It's their kind of code name for when they have a reconnaissance mission getting ready to fly in there. I've seen a couple other sources and videos and posts on social media mentioning, oh God, it's developing, we have an invest, and it's like, that's not what it means, guys. An invest means they're going to go in and literally investigate. That's it. And right now, if we look at the H-War for anything and stuff like that, it's not going to be anything credible or reliable. None of our hurricane models are loading in just yet. I mean, they are hypothetically, but there's no real data to get forecast data out of them. Brian, hello there. Good evening, my fellow Americans, my fellow Floridians from beautiful New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, the Space Coast. Heck yeah. Linda, hello there. TRG Tornado, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Weather Trackers, I see your comment. I'm going to get in there very soon. Like I said, take that with a huge level of doubt. Do not go in there buying what you're saying because I already know. I can already feel it in the back of my mind. There's a disturbance in the force that now that we have an invest and we have some, model guidance on it, people are going to panic because they're showing a hurricane in the model guidance and it doesn't even make any sense. Does not make any sense. Another mostly dry day in Florida. Whoa, I don't know where you are, PM, but it's definitely not dry out there. It's been raining out here all day. I know down in the south we've had reports of flooding. I've seen video footage. I know a few of you guys on Instagram have sent me some videos of the high winds and rain we've been getting. Willow, I told you if you were going to go out earlier, not now. There you go. Yeah, thank you. The worst rain hitting the Miami-Dade region based on radar. Let's go ahead and go on over there in a second. So first and foremost, they don't have it designated here, which I thought was very interesting. We have, quote, Invest 98L, but I noticed that their 7 p.m. update, they don't have it described or depicted on this graphic. Down here they have it, AL98, but that's about it. And right now what they're thinking is at best we could see a tropical depression form by the weekend. At best, a tropical depression. That's about it. And then up here we have this system. This is definitely not really going to form up. At least I don't think it's going to form up. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. Really neat to see that little subtropical looking thingy is what I'll call it off the west coast. You can see that spinning plain as day. We'll go over to the satellite view right now. Earlier today it was kind of looking like what Tammy did a number of weeks ago, if you guys remember what she looked like on satellite imagery. Very reminiscent of what Tammy looked like, even as a low-end, non-tropical hurricane is what we'll call it. So you see, we have a very clear center of circulation. So, I mean, our models were technically right on the money with that. It definitely did form up into a very consolidated spin. And earlier today, I was sharing with a Matthew F-150 here in the chat that we actually had buoy data that that registered 50 to 60 knot gusts in that center. So it's a pretty powerful system, albeit we don't have anything classified or highlighted right now. So, good stuff. And then we have this huge conglomeration of stuff getting ready to roll in. You can see it really starting to organize right down in this general area. That's where our strong, maybe not that big. Let me go ahead and rephrase that. Right about here is where we're going to see development start to try to show itself, whether it be an elongated area of cyclonic curvature or an actual consolidated cyclone. We'll see. Let's see, who else do we have in the chat? We have a few more people joining us. We're going to get more into the weeds in a second. Melita, good evening. Brenda, hello there. Things looking calmer compared to last couple day models. Oh yeah, definitely looking a lot more calm, and I'm very glad to hear that, and I'm very glad to see that as well. Janice, welcome in, my dear. Thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to see you. Leah Brower, too. Robert, rain and wind all day here in Jupiter. Very good. Good evening, Matt F-150. The worst rain. I'm seeing that already. Yes, I had to close my job earlier. Our roof was leaking. Wow. Here in Bonita Springs, Florida, it hasn't stopped raining, but it has calmed down, but there was 20, 30 mile per hour gusts here. Yeah, we're not in the strongest winds just yet. It's not raining in Louisiana. Very weird. We were expecting rain. Looks like a dry winter. They've been having a lot of rain up there. That's what's weird. I mean, now it's not happening, but they definitely saw a lot of rainfall. Zen, hello. Hello, Nazario. It's Sen Ryan. Welcome in. Nomad Cat 4 still paying attention. Is looking at infrared water vapor and radar. Oh, yeah, definitely. Please show impacts for Jamaica. I will. I'll get there. Don't worry too much. I know there's a ton, and it almost kind of sucks for you guys out there. And I'm going to be very bold and blunt. There is a lot of information out there mentioning how everybody's getting wrecked. Everyone's going to see really bad flooding. Everyone's going to get, run for the hills. And, I understand why. But at the same time, I'm really kind of over, the hurricane season and the whole, hopelessness when things like this happen. Because, you go back a week, guys, and for those of you who are tuning in again, who've been consistently checking out my videos and the live streams, a week ago we had folks convinced you were going to get a Cat 4 through Jamaica. That's not going to be the case whatsoever, and I feel like everyone should be celebrating that. Because if you had a Cat 4 or a system marinating over Jamaica, now that would be a hopeless situation. That would be bad. In this case, we are going to see some flooding. There could be some pretty bad water damage because of it and some displacement of certain things and certain people, but at the same time, you got to boil down the intensity of it a little bit and, just realize that you can communicate the good news and still emphasize where it is that we need to be paying attention. There's a big difference between not taking it serious and taking it to the level with which it should be taken serious, if that makes any sense to you guys. Let's see. My rain gauge says 0.04 inches today. So much for rain. I am annoyed. Wow, that's kind of stinks. You must be in a little bubble. The hype never ends. People just want money. Yeah, my rain gauge is at 1.5 inches. This isn't a Dahlia. Stop hyping. I agree. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure Nomad Cat 4, if that was directed at me. I'm definitely not hyping right now, that's for sure. Weather has been windy and boring. Alaska is getting a lot of snow. That's interesting. Anchorage had record snow and is getting more snow, also below zero next week. Well, forgive me for saying this, but if it's quiet in your neighborhood, doesn't mean that it's boring and unexciting across the board. Because, technically, I could say this is really boring. It's just been raining on and off all day with a little bit of wind in comparison to what we're seeing down to the south. It's just a matter of where the hot zone is. And we're not in the hot zone right now. And unfortunately, you can see that it actually does seem like the dry air has worked its way all the way around this center of circulation here. And now it's its own little cutoff feature. The jet is propagating up like this. So that's why we have all of this high-level cirrus cloud deck here, and then all of our convection down to the south over parts of Cuba, moving into the Bahamas, and especially inundating the southeast portions of Florida. So, there's definitely a lot of action going on out there. In comparison to what we've seen out here for a long while, this is definitely a very exciting pattern that we have going on, and I'm even more excited to show you guys what's going to happen for Thanksgiving, because I'm pumped for that. I'm ready to say goodbye to all this tropical whatever and invest. I'm honestly, I'm ready. And that's so bizarre coming from me because I love the tropics. I love talking severe weather. Truthfully, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've said it before on the stream, but I'm ready. I'm ready to kind of put this hurricane season to bed. Carmen, hello there. Welcome back. It's good to see you in the chat again. Welcome in. Very, very good evening to you. I have a different slug of water on me this time, but I do have my water because I'm kind of getting a little bit of headache. It's been a long, a long day for sure. Very busy day. Very, very busy day, actually. Today was one of my longest segments in a while. So much to talk about. Oh yeah, winter weather definitely is, and we're going to transition over there here in a moment for sure. We're gonna start transitioning over there. In fact, my title card and everything is going to change to something winter related. Nomad Cat 4. Oh no, yeah, I didn't misunderstand. I had a feeling that wasn't directed to me. I knew it was kind of like rhetorical, like everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. I know some channels that stream 24/7 since things are common a bit. They are streaming older things still. Yeah, I'm still very baffled that there are a few sources on social media mentioning hurricane this and hurricane that. It's starting to discourage me because, I mean, come on, y'all, let it die. For my Halloween fans out there, if we've seen Halloween Kills, Evil dies tonight. Well, in this case, hurricane season dies as of November 30th. Let it die. Just let it go. We have more hurricane seasons coming. God forbid the world doesn't end. Oh, whoa, please, Lord, no rapture just yet. But, we have more hurricane seasons. We have more severe weather coming. We're not going to die if we don't. Yeah, whatever, You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, here is Invest 98L, looking very reminiscent to what we saw with the 97L. You can see very, very strong prevailing easterly winds across the Caribbean down in the low levels. And if you look right up in through here, we have the wind shear already getting ready to dig its way down with that associated upper level feature and the front down, or I guess you can call it kind of like the trough at the surface. There really isn't a whole lot of temperature discontinuity, which is crazy because I've also been hearing a lot of people on different channels and other media sources mentioning that there's a front with this. There really isn't a front. And if there is a front, it's an extremely baby-ish front. Like, it's almost more of like a dry line to an extent because there's really no temperature discontinuity with it. I thought maybe it was going to be entirely non-tropical and we were going to see some cold air advection with it, but I've been looking at the thickness lines and temp advection charts, and there's really not a whole lot of cool air behind it. It's all warm core. As a matter of fact, we'll just quickly go over here and I know this is the 18Z GFS. I wanted to look at that with you guys real quick. We come over here. We go to our, where are we? Let's go to 850 millibar temp anomaly. You go back in time and look at that. I mean, it's all warm core. Both of our systems are warm core out there. I mean, maybe you can make a case that there is a bit of a cold pocket associated with it, but it's definitely not attached to anything. It's not supported by the polar front jet. The polar front jet is still to the north. And you could see even that system that's expected to get going on the southern periphery of the state of Florida, that's going to be entirely warm core. So some people are saying that that's not tropical entirely, but in my case, that's definitely a little bit more tropical than it is non-tropical because of the characterization or the structuring of it thermodynamically. That's one of the biggest kickers there. So, but yeah, if you come over here to the relative humidity, you can see it's a lot more so just dry air. There's a lot of dry air with it. Not really a whole frontal system associated, because if you come up to the upper levels and you take a look at the winds, I mean, we have our subtropical jet down there for sure. It's definitely supported by the STJ, but then here's our polar front jet way to the north, riding along the northern tier states, and that's when it's going to pick up after that system gets going here. Once it gets just to the north of where our mid-Atlantic region is, right about in through here somewhere, that's when it's going to pick up polar front jet support and really deepen down into a nor'easter, and that's when we're going to have lots of snow, lots of rain, lots of heavy winds, or I should say, I've been saying heavy winds. It's high winds, excuse me, not heavy winds. I mean, winds, I guess, can be heavy if they're blowing on you hard enough. It's like trying to hold up, the weight of the winds, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I would definitely be telling a bold-faced lie to you guys if I said that I didn't want another tropical system to talk about. I love interrogating that stuff, and, it's cool, but in this case, even I know when to just kind of rip the e-brake and punch out of the hurricane season and try to transition to other things. Cold front is already moving over my area. It's going to be in the 50s tonight. The non-rain event ended. Next week or 2 weeks, maybe a rain event. So we are going with a cold front then. Let's go over to WPC and see what they have, because WPC is one of our more little reliable sources. I personally don't see a front. My mentor, Mr. Castle, had asked if we had a stream going on tonight, and oh yeah, they have a little bit of a front with it. They do have fronts with it. It's an occluded system. I don't know where they're getting that from. I don't know why they have fronts attached to it. There's no jet support. There's no thickness or temperature discontinuity with it. That's very bizarre. Let's go down. Let's do a little bit of interrogating because that's going to bother me now. Let's go to Thermodynamics and let's look at our 850 temp. I don't see any advection with it. Let's go 2 meter temp anomaly. I see warm temps out there. I see a warm core system, all warm air wrapped around it. In fact, you look at that, and after the sun goes down, look at how the surface of the land goes completely cold in comparison to all the warmer air around it. So that's not a frontal system. I don't think that's a frontal system. That's just me, though, and you don't have to take my word for it. I only have about 7-8 years of synoptic analysis experience, so nothing near like WPC, and that's half sarcasm, half honesty. But all right, anyways, let's go down to the H-Wharf and all that stuff because I can see people are asking for it. So let's go take a look. So you can see that our H-Wharf model, like it always does, is anticipating we're going to deepen down to near hurricane strength as this thing moves off to the north and then eventually impacts Bermuda. I don't buy this. Don't buy it one little bit. Not at all. I do not think we're going to get even a tropical storm out of this. If we saw a tropical depression, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be too surprised, but at the same time, I'd be very impressed because I'm not seeing it. I definitely don't see it. Nice dono, Punky. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, sorry about that. Punky felt like Jim Cantoring these winds and rain. Very good. As long as you didn't get hit by anything, that's what matters, Punky. But thank you for the donation. I do appreciate that. Very much so. Don't know which name you are now, but I see Miss Leah say hi, so hello to you too. Very good. I love it. Welcome back, Carmen. It's very good to see you. How did the move go, by the way? Remember me, model doesn't judge the whole storm. I agree. Thanks, Ethan. Good evening, all from Upper Tampa Bay. Had a soaker hose over us since yesterday with flying overcast and very breezy. Very good. 50 on Thanksgiving. I know. I'm really excited about that. Atlantic hurricane season is over. Just face it. I agree. Yes, it is a front that explains the dry air and lowering dew points. Also cooler temps. Well, I think a lot of the cooler temps are going to be more so from our just overall cooling that we're seeing with the rain that's coming down. Because there's, you don't really get a whole lot of bona fide temperature advection or any kind of thickness packing behind a subtropical supported system. I mean, typically, at least the way I was trained, you don't have fronts with a subtropical jet because there's no cold air above it and there's only warm air down to the south of it. So, we can call it a front. WPC's calling it a front. If it is a front, it's extremely, extremely weak. I would go with more of a trough, in my professional opinion. That's just me. I wouldn't necessarily draw fronts to it, just looking at the way everything is stacked all the way up to 250 millibars. But, WPC does have fronts on it. The funny thing is, though, is the fronts never really go anywhere. We have a stationary boundary up over the northern portions of Florida, and then we have the occluded front stretching down, which doesn't really make sense thermodynamically, and then there's a stationary boundary across the south. So we're not even anticipating frontal passage through here. This next one right here, however, is what I'm very excited about. Or not that one, excuse me. This next one right there at the back end of the charts. That's going to be a very good frontal system coming across. All right, anyways, there's H-Wharf. So H-Wharf, even though we can't trust it, we cannot trust it. Guys, stop it. I'm gonna come through this camera right now. I can't pull it any further. I'm gonna come through this camera right now, and I'm gonna do not trust these models just yet. We have not gotten any reconnaissance data yet, so these are just preliminary raw data mining runs. There's nothing official to them just yet. There, I said it. Tropical storm likely in North Indian Ocean. There we go. I can probably buy that. It's not rain-cooled. It's just cooling. I don't know why it's not raining where I am. I noticed it cooling slightly, and it's windy and feels a little cold this weekend. It will be colder. Well, I'm not going to call it a front. I don't think it's a front. That's just me. Like I said, I was drawing charts on a day-to-day basis for about 8 years total, and I wouldn't draw fronts to it. That's just me. It doesn't feel like we've cooled down at all here in Central Florida, but it remains to be seen. We got cold waters along the West Coast. It could be a number of different things. Tropical storm is likely. I don't think so. If you guys want to continue to advertise a tropical storm, by all means, absolutely do it. I would not advertise that. In fact, the basis behind my channel is when there is really something bad to communicate, I'm going to thoroughly communicate it. If there's nothing bad to communicate it, if there's nothing bad to communicate, then I'm not going to communicate it. I'm not going to continue to try to stay at that same negative level. And that's what a lot of folks out there are doing with this situation. We went from last week and the week prior forecasting 2 major hurricanes in the Caribbean, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. And even I was on board with a hurricane at one point, and I busted big time, and nothing happened. And part of it could also be why that could part of be. This is what happens when I'm trying to shoot my videos. Part of that could be the reason why now I'm very hesitant to go any further than maybe a tropical depression at best. But I think to really become a true and very, very credible and reliable meteorologist, you need to understand when it comes time to communicate good news to people as opposed to just bad news. It's like bedside manner in the hospital industry. If you have a patient diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and all of a sudden, their treatment works and they only have, I don't know how it works, stage 1 cancer. I'm not going to continue to say, oh, but you still have cancer. This is life-threatening. This is bad. We got to make sure to get rid. No, I'm going to tell them, hey, it's not an end-all, be-all situation. Like, this is great. This is a blessing. The treatment's working. We got a little bit more to go. We're not out of the woods yet. We got to take care of it. But at the same time, encourage it. Like for Jamaica, for the Cayman Islands, for Cuba, for Haiti, for my folks out there in Puerto Rico, I'm not going to continue to emphasize, oh, but this is going to be bad, oh, but it's weaker, but it's still going to be bad, I don't think that's proper forecasting. I don't think that's proper forecasting at all. You got to know when to dial it back a little bit, emphasize the bad, but also reinforce the good. And in this case, like I said, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot out of it. We have an invest, but, they're only going in and investigating. It's another one of the discriminations, or I guess the depictions that the National Hurricane Center has to identify features that they're ongoing investigating. Or whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. I'm losing my train of thought now. You can see that we still have quite a bit of agreement, according to the European model, that we might see a tropical depression out of it, but then it rapidly drops off quick and then disappears. And then if you go all the way towards the end of the run, 27 November, that's it. We're closing the door. We're closing the door on the tropical season. So it's time to start saying not your prayers. I don't know what's happening to me tonight. I think it's my headache. But you come over to the HAVS models. We'll go ahead and look at those real quick too. And you can see the HAVS models don't really think much is going to come of it. And guys, you also have to remember, these ones don't have it. But let's take a look at the GFS real quick. So you also have to remember, and this is how I know some people are kind of dorking up their interpretations of what the models are spitting at them. So if we come over here to the Western Atlantic and we switch over to mean sea level pressure, notice how the GFS has a 999 millibar low stamped there. That's not a cyclone. That is the GFS identifying where the area of most likely lowest pressure is. And look at how it just so happens to be in the area of most intense thunderstorm activity. It's like a micro scale, if not maybe a mesoscale low that it's identifying. It's not. This is your invest area right here. That whole thing. Look at these very, very loosely packed isobars right here. That is your invest area. So don't be dissuaded or don't be, intensified in your own way, shape, or form by seeing, oh, look at that 999. That's tropical storm right there. It's a little mesoscale feature that it's identifying with all that very aggressive thunderstorm activity. That's all it is. Just like we can see, I could show you guys for days all the little low pressures we get along the lee of the Rocky Mountains because we have all that warming going on as we have lee side troughing and downsloping winds going on. You get tiny little bubbles of low pressure. You get tiny little bubbles of high pressure that are minuscule, tiny, that sit on plateaus of different terrain features. This here is not a 999 millibar low. Notice how that thing rapidly moves around, but your actual center of your storm is right here, very disorganized, very bleh, because all of this activity up here is what's trying to take it with it. It's trying to pull it out. It's trying to pull it out, and that's all there is to it. Hey, Naz, I sent you some pictures of my grandfather's pocket watch. Really? Okay, I'll have to take a look at that in a moment. We had a great one, guys. 2023 was a weird one for sure. Very weird. Very weird. That's my biggest takeaway from this hurricane season. I'm going to try to work on a very, very brief compilation for the end of the season as well, and it's already the 15th. I can't believe it. I should probably start working on that now, but I archive all of my footage. Let me go ahead, and I'm just going to disclose that real quick. Let's see if I can get my screen to cooperate with me. Let's open this up. I'll show you guys the weather center. So here you go. I archive all of my stuff, and this is only a small sliver of it. There's also more on my home screen that you can't see, and then there's also a tremendous amount right in through here. Whole bunch of videos right in through here. I think there's more. Nope, there's no more in there. But yeah, so I archive all of my videos, and I'm definitely going to try to splice together, I guess, like a highlight reel of this hurricane season from my very first video all the way up until where we sit now, or where we end the season, I suppose you could say, on November 30th. Just for fun, you know. Some of those people are very arrogant too, consistently calling themselves the master of meteorology. Yeah, you know, I'm not a big fan of that either. Even if I had 40, 50, 60 years of weather, I'm not going to sit here and try to make myself sound like I'm the king of Mother Nature and I have her in a chokehold, you know, and I know everything. It's just not wrong. I mean, that's just not right. Looks like the low pressure in South Florida is intensifying and is showing on radar. Let's go ahead and go on down there. In terms of you guys asking about the impacts for Jamaica, it's just going to be a very, very heavy rain event. It's going to be a big rain event. There are some areas and some model data that suggest we could see upwards of a foot of rain on the very eastern periphery of the Jamaican island, that's for sure. Please do a video to let islands such as Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti know their impacts. Well, actually, it's funny you say that because that's exactly what I cranked out today. If you go watch my video today, I genuinely went from Jamaica to Haiti, Dominican Republic to Cuba into the Bahamas, and I broke down when it is that they could see the worst of the impacts. I still remember it. In fact, I have my notes right here for my video. It looks like Jamaica could definitely start seeing impacts as early as just after the lunch hour tomorrow. Between the hours of about noon and 2 p.m. is when the rainfall is going to start settling in on your location. And then into the overnight hours of Thursday into Friday is when Cuba and Haiti are going to start to see whatever this system has to offer as the worst of it, when we could get our heaviest accumulation. But yeah, weather trackers, if you wanted to go watch, my video today went ahead and highlighted a lot of the impacts that we're going to expect and a lot of the key timing. Because I've been also looking around and we're highlighting the intensity and the rainfall totals, but we're not really, mentioning the time of the worst, the time of the heaviest rainfall, when it's expected to finally taper off, and so on and so forth. Ooh, my right temple is like busting right now. Shoot. What are you guys doing in here? All right, let's go to the radar. Let's see what the radar has in store for us. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Where did my radar go? I had it up. Let's see. Let's go down here to Morning Metcon. We'll go to National Weather Service radar, and we'll zoom in. Look at all that rainfall. Look at all that rainfall. Let's play it. That's not going to really do me any good. I need to speed it up. Can I speed it up? That's not how. Well, there's our low. Moving right over the Keys right now, headed towards Homestead. Go back. How can I speed this up? All right, we're not going to use this radar. We're going to use a different radar. Let's go to National Weather Service. Let's go down to the south here. And here we go. Much better radar image. Much better radar image. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of heavy rain down there. I can see the flash flood warning for Miami right there, too. We had some tornadic activity down to the south. HMON runs show that Invest 98 making landfall in southern Jamaica as a tropical storm at midnight on Friday night. You can't trust the high-res models right now. We got to wait until tomorrow until we get reconnaissance data in there to really amp up exactly what it is that they're going to forecast. And even then, I think we're going to see some over-forecasting with those models. I think we're definitely going to get some over-forecasting. We're not going to get a very, very full, accurate representation. June had frickin' 2 storms. What do you mean not active? Oh, no, it was definitely active. I mean, it was definitely an active season, just a very low threat season in terms of landfalls. So, yeah, I mean, it was an active season. Just where it seemed like it was a boring season is because no one really got hit. We had our Florida storm, we had Ophelia, and then Harold. That was about it. Those were our 3 systems, if I'm not mistaken. Am I missing any? Quote me or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was just Idalia, Harold, and Ophelia. We could technically say Lee, but Lee was so far up to the north and had already transitioned into a post-tropical cyclone that I don't really count it as a landfall. So, yeah. Thank you, Nomad and Carmen. Yeah, definitely keep us posted, Miss Leah, on how you're doing up there. Remember, we cannot trust the H-Wharf. We cannot trust the H-Mon. We can't trust our HAVS models. Right now, what they're doing is spitting out their best first guess, and they're going to be wrong. They're always wrong before we get our reconnaissance data plugged into those models, and we can start to generate the information. That's the main reason they designate our invests. They designate them as invests because it's code word for them mentioning we're going to go in there and get our data and start running the hurricane models. So don't sweat what you're seeing on those initial runs. They're going to change. And Zarko, to answer your question, I believe they said sometime tomorrow afternoon. So let me see if they have any information here. Aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft scheduled to investigate the system tomorrow. It doesn't mention exactly when. Here we go. Let's see if they have the missions coming in for tomorrow. Text issued. Tomorrow we have, 19 Zulu. 19Z, that's going to be at 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock is going to be when we start getting our information. And 3 o'clock is when they're going to start running their data. Actually, I don't know. It looks like it could be as early as 15 Zulu, when 15 Zulu would be 18 is 2, so 15 would be noon. No. 15Z would be 11 o'clock? Somewhere in there. Early afternoon is when we're going to start getting a lot of the information in there, according to what they have for their flight mission tomorrow. Valid from 16. Gosh, this is bringing back memories. Valid 1611Z to 1711Z. That's like our old MEFs that we used to put out. Suspect area, Western Caribbean. Flight 1, Teal 71 is the call sign. I wonder who they're getting their flight weather brief from. Surface to 10,000 feet, low-level invest. So, yeah, it looks like anytime early to mid-afternoon tomorrow is when we're going to go ahead and get some information into the models. 97L was a Cat 4 in the first few runs. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Nazari, you're a cool meteorologist. Love your dedication. I want to ask you, could the Invest quickly spin up to a low-grade storm before heading near Jamaica? Thanks. Soulbound, I don't think so. I mean, there's always that marginal risk with any of these types of systems, and you kind of have to go in there and with a little bit of distrust, unfortunately, especially after what we saw this hurricane season with a few storms, how they exploded. You know, there's very little evidence to suggest we could see it spin up. There's always the threat, but I'm very, very confident we're not going to see anything really come out of it. I really don't think so. I truly don't think so. All of our models are in very, very firm agreement. You come over to the 12Z Euro, or actually we even have the 18Z Euro to talk about, And look at that. The Euro doesn't even have a low pressure on it anymore. Euro has nothing. Literally nothing. We got that area of very intense thunderstorm activity as it rides the frontal system, and that's what's really happening. Here's what's going on. You have your trough and your jet digging to the south. That's why you're getting all that really, really intense thunderstorm activity. This boundary right in through here that's just going to pull everything to the north. It's kind of like I said a few videos ago. It's going to scoop all that stuff out of the Caribbean. It's like playing a crane game at the theme parks or at the arcades. It's going to come in there and it's going to scoop all that moisture up and out. And I think that's why the models have lost all confidence in this system spinning up. And you know what's crazy to think about is, honestly, if we saw what we had mentioned a few days ago or end of last week about the system stalling and then moving to the west, now then I would buy into it forming up. Because it's not going to have all that wind shear and that, I guess you could say, magnetization or that magnetized effect from the system to the north ripping on it. That's what's killing it right now. It's moving faster. It's coming up to the north faster. It's getting drawn out of its source region. And as a result, it's interacting with a lot of that wind shear and a lot of that upper level influence. I bet you if I were to switch over to the upper level models right now, we go to like 500 millibar height anomaly. Yeah, look at that. It's not color coded, but you can see there's a huge trough right there. Very big trough. So that's what's pulling it up and helping to elongate it. And as you take this through time, yep, look at that. That's exactly why it's not going to form up. Let's see if we have height norm anomaly. There we go. Now we can see it a little bit better. So see, there's our little weak thing trying to get going, but then as soon as it gets picked up by that system coming across the southeast, you see there you have it. It gets sucked in and kind of just merges together. Given your experience and knowledge on the weather, do you think just looking at the sky without models or ensembles, you'll be able to call the weather 2 days from now? Yes and no. Yes and no. When you become a very, very seasoned, observer, you can definitely kind of forecast for the next 12 to 24 hours. 2 days out, however, no, that's hard. That's a really good question. Very good question. When you get very, very keen to what the upper levels look like just based off of visually what you can see, we have low cloud, we have very low cloud, stability, mid-level cloud cover, probably some instability, but a lot of high-level winds, a lot of shear, maybe a jet overhead. When you have very, very upper-level cloud and no low-level or mid-level decks, that's when you definitely know you have more stable conditions, very strong winds aloft. So you can kind of pick up on it and maybe forecast for a day or so, but I wouldn't go as far as to say 2 or more. That'd be very difficult. Weather manipulation has become a theory with Hurricane Otis. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. I don't think it's weather manipulation. I think it's, unfortunately, that's just, it happens. It happens to everybody. It was a busted forecast. We had all the ingredients for very, very explosive cyclogenesis, and we just didn't pay attention to it. We got very feverish with the models. And in fact, let's see. Let's try to do, let's get a little bit of the forecast review going on right now. Hurricane Otis forecast models. There it is. Well, there's where the storm died. I'm going to have to do some digging. Yeah, see, the writing was on the wall. Pardon me for that lack of verbiage or lack of speech, but the writing was definitely on the wall. Look at as early as June, we already had a Cat 2, July Category 3, approaching Category 4. July, Category 4, Category 4, Category 4, Category 5, Category 4, Category 4, Category 5. Like, you know, they definitely had the ingredients. They definitely had the ingredients to pop off a very, very strong storm. What blew everyone's mind was the amount of intensification that storm underwent. And if anything, what I would be doing is not speculating weather modification or anything like that. What I'd be doing is speculating how many more instances of perfect conditions like that could we have going forward into the future. That's what I'd be looking at. Because especially as our sea surface temps continue to warm and we see anomalous activity like we did here in the Atlantic side of things, how many more Otises could we potentially have? It's not unusual to get systems to develop that quick, albeit this was an anomaly. But that's exactly what happens with these hurricanes when they have the perfect level of equilibrium inside of them. They're very, very sensitive things. I'm not going to say beings, but they're very, very sensitive things. And when you have, I can hear it pouring rain outside and blowing wind right now, as a matter of fact. When you have the perfect environment, those things turn into like a fusion reactor. And they're just going to pump as much power out of them as possible. That's what we saw with Lee. If you guys remember, Lee was an explosive system. Went from a Category 1 to a Category 5 in 12 hours. So Lee was a situation to where we had the exact same thing happen, albeit we didn't have perfect conditions. And just like we saw at the end of Lee's Category 5 run, it blew up fast, but then, you know, everything kind of went down because like a fusion reactor, if we were to, or let's go ahead and let's use cars, for example. When you try to overpower a car and you don't kind of build in the supporting mods and you try to make 1,000 horsepowers on a baby engine, you're going to blow something up. You're going to make the power, but it's going to blow up. And that's the same thing with hurricanes. When they bomb out like that, they're going to blow up at the very end. They're going to blow a rod, or they're going to throw a piston or a connecting piece. And I bet you 10 to 1, if Otis had blown up like that further away from landfall, we would have saw that. We would have saw the eye wall replacement cycle. It would have caved in on itself. It's just unfortunate that it rapidly intensified so close to landfall that I spit on my mic, that we only saw that kind of an impact. Idalia almost did the same thing. We got really lucky with Idalia. Idalia was up and up and up and up and up, but then she started running into a little bit of shear, a little bit of dry air that was still down there, and went through that eye wall replacement cycle as the dry air tried to intrude a little bit in the low levels, and so we saw it kind of just self-sustain itself. But Otis was in a pool of literally perfect tropical energy. Tropical life force is what we'll call it. So that's what I'd be a little more concerned about, especially as we go into next year and we uncap some of the areas that, you know, didn't see a lot of action this year. Power just went out a block away from my house. Oh, wow. Let's go to the observations to see what kind of winds we have going on out there, because this is definitely looking big. As you guys mentioned earlier, there's definitely a little bit of a low spinning up right here. You can definitely see it right there. So don't be surprised if we get a little bit of rotating action out there, especially for the Bahamas and along the southeast coast of Florida. What are you twits doing? Come on. So let's go to the obs. I know I had the observations pulled up earlier. Let me close this out. We'll go back to National Weather Service. Close this. Go down here. Go to observations. And let's scroll on over to Florida. Nothing crazy right now. Nothing too intense. Do we have any peak wind remarks? 43 knot gust or 43 mile per hour gust in Homestead Air Force or Air Reserve Base. 28 mile per hour gust. The Keys were getting it. 40 mile per hour gust in the Keys. Let's see what else we got. Boca Raton is seeing 35 mile an hour winds. 44 mile an hour winds at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport. 37 mile an hour winds in Miami International Airport. The Bahamas are getting a little sporty. It looks like 34 miles an hour in the Grand Bahama Island, 24 miles an hour. Way off to the east, we got a 36 mile an hour report, light rain. We're seeing some good winds inland too. A lot of good winds inland. Nothing crazy, nothing to worry about. Look at this rogue gust, 35 mile per hour gust right there. Sebring Regional. That's not too far from me, actually. No, that it is. Oh, no, not too far. Not too far. So we got some pretty good winds out there. This is what I was looking at earlier, guys. Check this out. We're still blowing out there pretty good. It's still 47, 54 knots. Look at that, 62 miles an hour near that little low out there in the Gulf. So, I mean, subtropical storm. Is that Vince and we just didn't highlight it? Probably not, but it's just worth noting. Looking on the coastline of Louisiana, 58 miles an hour. ASOS sensor Delta oil platform, so an oil rig is getting pummeled by high winds, tropical storm level winds. So I mean, there's some pretty good stuff out there. Down further out, closer to the center of circulation, 41 miles an hour, 41 miles an hour, 38 miles an hour, 32 miles an hour. This is definitely more subtropical, if not non-tropical altogether, because look at how expansive this wind field is. I mean, we're seeing strong winds way out over here, 42 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. So you could honestly draw like the tropical storm kind of wind field that National Hurricane Center would have like all through here. That's like our wind field for that thing in the Gulf. There's your tropical storm level kind of winds. Pretty big. Yes, I agree with Carmen. Definitely charge your phone for sure. The weather track just stopped. What's going on in the chat, guys? Maria, Otis, and the pre-mentioned Irma, Ian, Michael are worth studying. I absolutely agree. Even Ian last year. Oh, yeah, you wrote Ian. My bad. I was going to say even Ian was worth studying. Nicole was one worth studying as well, how she formed up. Next year is going to be different in the hurricane season, the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico to phase I. Now that I agree with. I'm 100% on board with that. A lot of folks were lighting me up for making my little preliminary video, but, you know, the big thing that I'm worried about is we're going to see source regions that were dead this year open up, and that's going to be a big different story. Oil platforms are higher up, gale winds are blowing, high pressure north is squeezing into decaying low pressure gradients. Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. And regardless of just that oil rig out there, you can still see that way out across the greater portions of the Gulf of Mexico, we're still having the same level of winds, even along coastal areas. Very curious to see how strong the winds get down here, though. Very curious. Fort Lauderdale is definitely in tropical storm kind of winds. .36 miles an hour out there. Nassau's quiet. Oh, no, Nassau's getting some winds, too. 31 miles an hour. They got some good winds blowing way out here, too. So lots of wind everywhere. You know, good elevated winds. Like feel-good winds. Nothing crazy. Neutral phase next year. Yikes. Zark, oh my gosh. Because you are concerned about something that won't happen and you're just hyping and being annoying. I'm in the HWT area and it was dark most of the day. Yeah. It's been very gloomy. I feel like the clouds haven't lifted for us for a while. It's been gloomy, overcast since yesterday morning, if I'm not mistaken. So we're almost there. We're going to see good weather come in for the weekend. Let's see. All right, let's go over to the HMON for our thing out there in the ocean. And there you go. I mean, yeah, see, like, what the heck? I would not trust this. Why are we going for a Category 2 hurricane? That's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. We don't even have a closed low just yet, and this thing's calling for a closed low. Let's go to analysis tools. Let's go to ocean analysis. So, yeah, we're still in a strong El Niño. Just kidding. El Nino is kind of trending down in certain areas. You can kind of see it right in through here. There's some cooling going on off the South America coastline. This is your 7-day temperature change, and you can see that there are some cooling temps out there. The Caribbean's cooling down. The MDR is cooling down. So, all in all, though, we're still really warm. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much all we got. Pretty much all we got. We got our stuff out there. Nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about. Got a gust of 47 miles an hour. Wow. No, I get you, weather trackers. Yeah, I know what you're asking. Just got to make sure you take it with a grain of salt for sure, because we don't have any official data in those models yet. So they're just going to kind of spit out whatever it is that they want. Yeah, I think they just released an updated graphic. Let's go. We'll end the stream on that note. ENSO forecast 2024. That's not what I want. Oh, that's why I put NC. I want ENSO. I just want to look at the chart. Yeah, here we go. I believe we've already looked at this one, though. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're thinking. Everything is in agreement. You can see as we go through June, July, and August, all of our computer models are thinking we're going to oscillate back down into about a neutral position. So we could, honestly, if it keeps trending in that direction, if we don't see it start to oscillate back up, if we continued on that downward trend, we'll just see, which could definitely make, honestly, next hurricane season a bit lopsided. I mean, yes, we're going into a neutral phase for the beginning of hurricane season, but it could honestly almost make it a little lopsided. Very boring first half. Kind of like what we saw, as a matter of fact, with 2004. Last year we got off to a decent start. No, last year was a little slow in the beginning from what I remember. I wasn't paying too much attention to it. But I know in 2004, that's the season I always harken back to. I know it probably sounds annoying at this point with as much as I bring it up, but we had a very, very quiet start to the beginning of the 2004 hurricane season. And then next thing you know, we had bomb hurricane after bomb hurricane as we got into middle August and through the rest of the peak. The streets are flooded down here and accidents are happening. Definitely send me some video footage of that, Miss Leah, please. I definitely believe accidents are happening, though. We've had just rain up here, and there's been accidents all over the place. But yeah, we'll see, because honestly, what I'm a little concerned about is whether or not we're going to ebb and flow and stay kind of in this pattern, or if we're going to see La Nina try to trend up, or we're going to stay neutral, because that could make our next hurricane season a bit more lopsided. Next hurricane season, we could see a very slow start to it, and then we could actually see some very weird stuff happening September, October, and then November again, for that matter, if we stay neutral, if not trying to press into La Nina territory. So we'll have to see. It's still very early. All we know, though, is El Nino is going to start trending down, so we might see some more landfalls next year. That's going to be the big thing. And that's all I've been emphasizing on my channel, is we might see more landfalls. That's it. A lot of folks, they don't read between the lines. Actually, I shouldn't even say read between the lines. I'm spelling it out pretty much. I'm not saying we're going to have Cat 5 this or Cat 20 this. All I'm saying is we're probably going to have more landfalls next year if this pattern does continue to the way it's doing. That's it. But, yeah, we're going to start getting ready to close out. Still in a holding pattern with what's happening down in the Caribbean. Still in a holding pattern down there. It is technically still too early to give a definitive forecast, but just looking at the trends and what all of our ensembles and our main models are thinking, it looks like that's going to be another bust for a lot of people, because a lot of folks were definitely sold. They were sold Hurricane Vince, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. '24 could see a repeat of the 1988-1998 hurricane seasons. Yeah, you never know. It is going to be more active and way more landfalls definitely during 24. I agree. Maybe not more active, but I definitely do think we're probably going to see more landfalls. It'd be tough to see. If we got another repeat of 21-22 storms, that'd be a little crazy. That's a little scary. Now, see, that right there is definitely concerning. Let's see. Yeah, I'll try to pull that up real quick. Let me see if I can email it to myself and then pull it up before we end the stream. All right, my phone is lagging. Hurry up. Hurry up. All right, let me go ahead and email it to myself. Moving as fast as I can, guys. I do apologize. Moving as fast as I can. Dang, now my phone's lagging too for some reason. I don't know why. It better not hit me with I need to upload to my Google Drive. I'm going to be upset. It's a tiny video. There we go. All right, let's see if I can pull this up. Let's see if it's going to let me. There you go. This was video footage provided by Matt F-150 down to my south. So we're looking at some pretty sporty winds down there in South Florida right now, gusting, and some lightning strikes too, for that matter, gusting anywhere between 40, 50 miles an hour, especially as you get closer and closer to that center of circulation of the little storm down there. Orlando is drying out. Well, we were, that's for sure. This rain is going to help us a little bit. Tomorrow afternoon, though, for folks talking about what's going on for Jamaica and the Greater Antilles in the Caribbean, tomorrow we'll have a better idea of what our hurricane models are going to say. Because, I mean, you know, it doesn't look like a whole lot on satellite right now. There's really not a whole lot to it. Not a whole lot to it. There's thunderstorm activity, but, you know, it takes more than thunderstorm activity to get a storm going. And as it keeps moving to the north, we can look at our Atlantic shear. And voila, you can see that it's got a lot of shear right in front of it. So I don't know if it's going to have a lot of time to survive if it does. Neutral phase is very active. Oh, yeah, neutral phase is very active for sure. It's definitely active. And that's going to be the crazy part, is we're going to have more storms forming in areas that we didn't see pretty much at all this year. A lot more Gulf activity, a lot more Caribbean activity. And that's the big difference. That's going to be the big difference. But alrighty, folks, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. If you have any additional questions that come along, please don't hesitate to drop them into the comments section. And, you know, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, for sure. I'm noticing that because I get so busy during the day that my comments can be a little latent. Sometimes they come through in the morning. Sometimes I can get to them before I go to bed at night. But I'm trying my best. I promise you guys. Tampa should be called Shocking City. Yes, Nam. Yeah, this rain event was a bust as usual. Last significant rain event. You know, I would not say that. I would argue that it's not a bust. It's not a bust. It's just happening somewhere else. I have a rain falling outside of my house right now, and we're in Central Florida. So I wouldn't call it a bust. If you're gonna call it a bust because it didn't happen on your road, in your neighborhood, that doesn't make it a bust. That's like saying Hurricane Idalia didn't happen because it didn't come here in Polk County. I wanted it to, but it's not a bust. You know, that's all I'm gonna say about that. It's not a bust. We're getting a lot of rain in certain areas. It's just not a huge, widespread, all of Southeast event. Like we've seen with some of our systems, or like with some of our very potent frontal lines. Those are coming. I think we're going to see that very soon. And in fact, We'll go ahead and close out the stream officially, just taking a look at some good news. We'll go to the Euro 12 Zulu, and we will look at our preliminary, let's go forward in time, preliminary Thanksgiving forecast. So there you go. There's the 21st, the 22nd, and into the 23rd and the weekend. Look at that. It's going to be cold. Yep, it's going to be cold out there, pushing through just in time to give us a little bit of cool air. And then we're going to get another system coming up there to help up our rain chances, at least according to the Euro. A little bit of a weak wave in that return flow, like a little stable wave that forms up down there. And then here's our next frontal system coming down. You come over to the GFS, you can see it a lot better. So there's our big bona fide system. Boom, plowing through. Very strong. Good cold weather. Then we get a little bit of return flow, bit of a stable wave, flabdooey, and then, yep, even more cold air. So now you can see that as the hurricane season close out, boom, nothing but continuous rainfall and thereafter. And then if you go out to the North Atlantic, guys, look at that. Tropics are dead. All the way through to December 1st. The tropics are dead. The tropics, may you rest in peace. We are right there on the finish line of hurricane season 2023, and then, Lord willing, all the hype out there can go to bed. And we'll wake it up in time for next hurricane season, because Lord knows we're going to have some things to probably hype next hurricane season. So, yeah, we got great weather on the horizon, guys. We just got to get through the rest of whatever this stuff is, honestly. At this point, it's, it's stuff. That's all it is to me. We don't really have anything crazy going on out there. I do that all the time. I pick it up from my dad. Maybe as I get older, I'm starting to turn more into my dad. He'll tell me bye and say the same thing like 20 different times, and we'll have to be like, hey, Dad, you already said that like 4 times over. We got to go. And I do the same thing, unfortunately. But all right, folks, we're definitely going to call it good. So good to see you and everyone again. Enjoy the rain. I love it. I hope it comes my way. Great live stream again. Thank you for all you do, all the time you invest. So appreciate it, Nazario. Carmen, I appreciate you, dear. I definitely appreciate you. Thank you for always tuning in. You were one of my day ones, and I appreciate you sincerely. And I thank all you guys, all of you guys. It's been an amazing, wild ride this hurricane season. I'm very excited to start making it a little more diverse for the winter time and the springtime. Maybe get a little bit of springtime storm chasing in. You never know. If I can get my subscriber count up, I can start investing into some good storm chaser gear. So we'll see. But we're going to make this channel a little bit more versatile as we go over the next couple of months in prep for next hurricane season. So just stay tuned for that. We're going to keep trying to grow, but have fun doing it all at the same time. Judy, I can't say I like the cold in Florida. I already want summer back. No, we gotta enjoy the cold weather. We gotta enjoy the fall and the winter. We gotta let it happen. But alrighty, folks. Yeah, see, Carmen's on the same page with me. We both say bye like 150 times. Dark Earth, Judy, y'all can have your summer. I definitely want the cool weather. I want to break out some jackets. I want to style up, fall, winter fashion every once in a while, dust off the good coats, maybe put on a hat or two, just embrace the holidays. There's no way in heck you can convince me that Christmas I should be outside sweating. No, that's disgusting. But all right, folks, we'll see you next time. We'll see you for Friday Night Live. We'll see you again tomorrow for our 6 p.m. Weather Center segment. And we'll have some fun weather coming for Thanksgiving. I'm very excited, guys. Very excited. It's going to feel like Thanksgiving. And I hope you all have a wonderful amount of festivities planned with your loved ones. I hope you do some traveling. I hope you enjoy all the food. I hope you enjoy all the festivities and you just give thanks. Because that's what it's all about. And I'm definitely very thankful for everybody in here, everybody who's going to watch afterward, everybody else who, has come and gone on this channel, even my unsubscribers. I'm thankful for the traffic that you've given me because you paid attention even for just a little while. And that's really the holiday season is all about, and embrace the full festivities, the full spirit. And I'm really excited that the weather's going to cooperate with us so we can get out there and do. It's a 4-day weekend. I know I'm taking the Friday, Black Friday off so I can have a 4-day with family and friends. And it's going to be good. It's definitely going to be good. So we'll see you guys very soon. We'll talk a little bit more tomorrow, I promise. 6 p.m. tomorrow, and on Friday is going to be a lot shorter. We covered a lot of the incidental data today. If anything big changes, I'll communicate it to you guys. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we're changing. I think we're going to be pretty steady in what we're forecasting here on out, especially with what's happening in the Caribbean. And we're almost through this rain event here in the South Florida. So just got a few more hours, and then we can kiss it goodbye. But thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you for once again always taking some time out of your evening to talk tropics, talk weather with me. It's always a pleasure, and we'll see you again very soon, guys. You know the old phrase, I can't go out without saying it. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.